Are you kidding me? That's what?
Yeah, every so often it happens that Ryan is right.
100% right. Not even a little bit right.
Tucker Pullman, 2 points last game.
No kidding.
My man!
Hey, neither does me running shirtless, but that turned out very well.
Welcome to the PP1 podcast.
Okay.
That's basically the feeling we all have as Canucks fans after game 2. Welcome to the PP1 podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network, the post-game show. It's not as exciting as when they win, but you know what's exciting? We brought James Rayburn, friend of the show, my former boss at a point. Ted is down for the count for the night. He's walking the dog. He's doing stuff. That's the beauty of post-game shows. We can just do whatever we want, and you know, this is how we roll. It's fun. You know what, man? It was tough to watch.
He's kicking garbage cans. Let's be real. He's not.
Yeah, there's a good chance. It's too bad that maybe he will come. I sent him the link, but that was a tough one. I mean, the game itself, I'm just gonna get my opinion out on there. Yeah. I thought the Canucks absolutely dominated that game for the most part. First period, not so friendly to them, but they were all over Nashville, and it was just, I mean, we all know how hockey works, like puck luck, stick luck. Just there were so many things, and then Zadorov scores, so you're thinking, oh, well, maybe they've reset it, and then it just kept happening. Like Dakota Joshua right on the doorstep. Quinn Hughes was dancing all night. Patterson, when he was going, just couldn't put it. Like there's so much to unpack from that game, and yet, I mean, Nashville just had the answer right at the last second every single time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's a frustrating night. I mean, let's. I think if this was an EA Sports game, your possession numbers were probably going to be in the high 70s of percentage of puck.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And in zone time probably greater. So I mean, the Canucks did what they were meant to do there, but I think some of that was a result of what Nashville was doing too. Nashville got the lead, and they played 5 guys below the hash marks for the rest of the night.
I mean, it was frustrating in the sense that, like, what did you expect? Like, Nashville doesn't suck, first of all. And they played a perfect road game. Like, to get that quick goal, it's really too bad because that Casey DeSmith chance starts. And then just, like, the worst possible way for that goal to go in. And it wasn't a heartbreaker because, I mean, that's kind of how game 1 happened in a funny way. But it was just...
That's Canucks hockey, man.
Oh, I think that's why it doesn't hurt as much, is because we've been here before.
Yeah, we've seen that kind of stuff. It happens all the time.
So we found out late too. Like, everybody knew about Demko. I really don't believe that goaltending was the issue in this game. On the Canucks side, it was definitely the issue on the other side. Like, Saros played unreal, got a lot of luck, but Tyler Myers not being in this game, I think, affected their team a little bit.
Did you see anything that came out? Why?
No, nothing actually. No, literally nothing. You'd think there'd be something, but
I mean, they're not going to give us anything in the playoffs unless it's an injury, you know, or long term, something that they can say definitive they're not coming back, or you know, or what have you. So if we don't hear anything, then there's, you know, maybe a chance. I mean, Dan Hamhuis was, you know, maybe going to show up in Game 7, and I don't think they could tape them together. So you know. There's that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Myers thing is, I think you can handle the Myers loss in a small game, a 1 or 2 game segment. Not that you want to, but that's just results of playoffs. Juleson was fine. Mr. Short Shorts. I think the loss of Myers, you know, maybe felt a little bit more in the puck transition part, where you know, I felt like if it wasn't Hughes, the Canucks were kind of quick in the neutral zone, and then it kind of, you know, they didn't really stretch, is what I'm trying to say. The outside of Hughes, who was stretching the forwards, right? And when you have a defensive team like that in Nashville, who's kind of bogging down, playing below, you know, protecting that neutral zone entry, you kind of need to stretch, and we didn't feel like that, which is why we had possession. And we gained the blue line, and we did a good job of keeping it to perimeter and getting our shots. And then that's where the block shots comes into effect, right? So Nashville's basically saying, here, you can have all of this ice. We're going to take away the most important ice, and that's in the middle.
And they did a great job of it.
They did, for sure. Can they do that? Here's a question. Can they do that for 7 games?
I honestly, my one thought in this game, and Grant made a good point. I'm just going to get back to the comments here. Preds guys are going to be bruised up after this when they crave the pain tonight. Like,
100%.
I think it was one of those. It's unfortunate they took a loss, but I think the Canucks definitely continue to show their will in that game. And I think over a 7-game series, and I made this comment on the post-game show 2 nights ago, like the Canucks have a lot more bulk in their lineup that I think they can weather the storm in that sense.
Yep.
So as they wear down Nashville, I do see the Canucks gaining the long advantage in this series, but they're going to have to prove it too. Like they're going to have to get, again, at least a split in Nashville, if not better. I still love the Canucks in this series. I think the amount of chances they had. I mean, if we just take kind of like the silver lining of it, I mean, it was a good Canucks game. I don't care what anyone said. Overall, that was a pretty good game. They just, I don't know what it was. It was just, there's so many things that like I was laughing, like the Ian Cole when it just had it and they had momentum in the zone and it like hops over a stick and just like this the simplest things. You're like,
I knew the game was probably not going to go our way when Petey missed that shot at the end of the first period.
Yeah.
I know it sounds negative, but it was just like, I was like, okay, if that's not going to fall for us, this is going to be a long night. And then it kind of, obviously you started thinking through the intermission, like, actually, no, they're probably fine. They had the pressure. They were playing with the momentum. They just didn't get the first goal. They didn't get the break that they needed. Maybe they come out of it. And then it just didn't happen. The game kind of, I mean, they own the puck. Here's the thing. If that was a regular season game, you say, okay, that's a game 42. We're fine. We recover. We move on. You can't throw those games away in the playoffs because now you've got 3 of the next 4 in Nashville with 2 trips to Nashville. And that's a game that you should have been able to take tonight. And that's a 2-0 series win. That might hurt them, because we don't know what Nashville's got in store when they get on home ice. So I don't think we can look past it. I mean, they didn't play. They were, I don't like in a 4-1 thing saying something stupid like they were the better team, but they probably were the better team. I think you could see the areas of the game that they're going to dominate throughout the series, but this series is winnable without their players, putting points up. It is a concern. I mean, you can't watch that game and watch PD and say, okay, that's.
Oh, it's tough to watch. Like the wide open, the power play to end the second. I mean, even Joshua's going in that, like when you see that replay and he's trying to shovel it in and like your brain is hurrying up, right? Like you've been in that position before. Your brain's hurrying up and you can't put it in to save your life. Remember the Ryan Kessler one on the goal line against, was it LA?
Yep.
Back in 09 was it 09 or maybe it was the year before? And remember how they were trying to push their sticks right on the goal line and it didn't go in? And we're like, man, if you can't will the puck in, like those are battles you got to win. This was one of those where, I mean, definitely, I think just life was too crazy in that game where it probably just wasn't going to go in anyway. But you're going to have to win a few of those battles. And they were winning them. They just couldn't execute anything past the battle, though. They couldn't execute the final stroke.
Yeah. One of my fears for this team in the playoff hockey, and I like the Nashville matchup, and I'm actually like, I'm not going to be surprised at all if they, I mean, it's 1-1. There's so much hockey left.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I like the matchup. But one of the fears for the Canucks is, can they get on the inside in the hash mark area below in front of the net, outside of Joshua and Miller to score greasy playoff goals?
Yeah.
And I think after 2 games, we can say not consistently.
No.
Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Like it's not dirty. They're having to force all of their play on the perimeter, and it's not dirty. And the guys that are ultimately like Pedersen as a inside guy, like he can hold his own there, and we've seen that. And again, is he fighting some kind of an injury? I'd say it's possible. We're not going to know till the end of the season, however it shakes down. Yeah. But I mean, he's one of those guys. JT Miller, I think, can do it. And maybe this is a series where Miller has to be the net front guy, and they just have to he just has to bull his way in. They've had a lot of off the rush chances. Yeah. I mean, and they're just not doing anything with that final thing. And it's going to have to be nasty because that's the only way the puck's going in right now.
It's not going. You're probably not going to be Saros clean, on a clean look, unless it's that blocker side, which I think has been highlighted by the other media. So, okay, great. See, I mean, the goaltending situation is what it is, but you got to get into the crease area. You have to get secondary scoring chances. You have to get tips and rebounds. You have to be able to finish those off. And I mean, I did a tweet tonight, and it was hit the net, 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 hit the net. There, you at some point you have to hit the 4x6 in front of you.
Yeah. You know what? They need to have that on the right across the doorway as they walk onto the ice there, because this is the kind of series like this isn't Colorado, this isn't Winnipeg, this isn't a series where you can kind of have a track meet.
Right.
It's not that kind of series, and it never was. Nashville's always been this type of team. They were this way in 2011. That wasn't fun either. I mean, thankfully, you had a healthy goaltender where that one save mattered, and you'd win 2-1.
But Kessel in beast mode.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you've got guys that can go beast mode in this series too.
Yeah,
but you got to do it. Like, you got to go up the middle and just bowl guys over. They're getting opportunities. I thought their penalty kill was phenomenal today. I thought that they had a lot of good looks on the power play, aside from just the bounces just not going their way. I mean, they moved the puck really well. There's a lot to like about that game, but ultimately the scoreboard dictates everything, and they didn't score enough goals. They got one goal that was great, but they couldn't even build off of that. The power plays gave them opportunity to get back in that game, and they had lots of time to do it. Lots of time.
Yeah, that end of the second when they didn't score, they got the Zadorov goal. They didn't score on that power play. I felt that was going to hurt them, in the third, especially unless they got one early. And then they had that really,
and they almost did.
Yeah, Suter had that chance. I mean, I think chance-wise, but I also think that that's what Nashville's giving you. Nashville's basically saying, look, we're going to give you some of these chances. Are you going to be able to score? We believe in our goaltending enough to keep the puck out, which is why I think eventually the Canucks will win this series, barring nights like tonight for the rest of the series, or injury to their top guys or their top guys completely staying off the score sheet. It still favors them because Nashville's basically saying, here, you have the puck. We're going to defend you. I mean, it might be different if they get if the Canucks get a 1 or 2 goal lead, but I think that actually suits the Canucks beautifully if that's to happen later in the series, right? So we played 2 games now where Nashville's had the lead for the chunk of it for almost, right? I think I read somewhere it was just basically 12 minutes of the third that the Canucks led, right?
But who's dominated the play more? Like, if you were to take the it's not even close. Yeah, sure, they've led on the score sheet, but Vancouver's pressed for so long, and I give them, this is going to be maybe that series where you do rely on the bulk a little bit more.
Yep.
And like I said, you're going to outlast it, and it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty. Like, this isn't enjoyable. Tonight was a tough one to watch. I still thought they were in it, but man, talking to the wife, and I just kept laughing. I'm like, and I would just throw my hands up, like, there's another one. There's another one. Like, you guys, how did it switch in 48 hours?
Yeah, it was just, I think some of that actually is playing in front of your home crowd, and you're so emotionally amped up, and they get the bad break to start the game. So now you're 1-0, less than a minute in. So now you're 1-0. Now Nashville's setting up their play. They're basically saying, oh, look, can we do this for 60 minutes? Yes, we can. Or we're going to try to get you on the counter? Yes, we will. Are we going to take chances? No. So they didn't take any chances. We didn't get I think Lafferty had probably one of the best, the only clear-cut chance of the hockey game, and that came with about 4 or 5 minutes left in the second. Yeah. So just before the Z goal. So when did
the breakaway happen? Was that right before it?
I believe that happened right before the Zadorov goal. Yeah, but within that same time stretch. And so again, I think Nashville getting the 1-0 lead basically put them into, if you're looking at a game plan, you say, okay, now we're going to we're not going to take the chances. We trust our goalie. We trust our lead. You've got to get 2 to our 1 to take the lead. And we believe we can get you on a counter, and we might get you on a power play. I actually think the Canucks penalty killing, bang on, it's been excellent. Extremely good. If you've watched the details, the stick and lanes, the way they're winning board battles, the way the puck's getting out, outside of that first power play goal against in game 1, their PK's been good. Their power play, everything we didn't want to see that came over from the regular season is happening right now. So they have to adjust that. And I think they've tried everything. I don't know what the answer is.
I think it's just getting a goal. I think it's one of those where maybe you just keep trying to find the right look, and then once that works, like honestly, if Pettersson scores even one of those chances, this game, the score obviously dictates it, but you know, this game probably does change. I think the momentum probably does get amped up a bit more on a goal by Pettersson on that, you know, on the side wall there.
Yeah.
I think like he had the shots, and I think they're just holding the puck a little bit too long. Like they get it and they try to make one more play when they probably should just be peppering it. Like you're talking about get it on the net, but like how about just take the shot to start? Like they're trying to make one more move.
Yeah.
And it seems to just kill them because then all of a sudden they break it up with the stick and it loses the zone. You lose all that momentum you just had and you have to reset. And that's tough.
Oh, totally. There's a, you say there's a saying, don't dust the puck, right? So you don't need to dust off the puck when you get it, especially on a power play or intense situations. You want to be able to put it at the net because especially when teams are blocking shots like that and they're getting in the lanes, you have to get one through. So you kind of almost have to know where you're going with it before it arrives on your stick. There's a play in the third period. Miller's on the half wall. I think it's about 6 to 8 minute mark left. He gets the puck on the half wall, takes about 2 steps down and kind of slides it back to Hughes. Hughes is coming down the slot. All he needs to do there is grab it and just throw it on net. There's 2 guys in traffic. We finally got Nashville out of their blocking lanes, and he stick handles it, and he shoots it, and Saros gets the save, and it's a whistle. Yeah. So again, it's not a criticism of Hughes. It's just knowing the moment that you're just going to have to put those pucks through. You might have to take shots you didn't want to take. It may not be the A look, but that B look sometimes gives you the scoring chance down low that you're not getting, right? And that's just, and I think Pettersson's a classic example, especially in the first. I mean, he was just overhandling it and he was guessing what he was going to do with it. That's not the PD that they need. I think getting out on the road will help them. I think playing 2 road games will. This team's been a good road team all year. I kind of actually look forward to watching them because they're just going to go into Nashville. They're not going to give, 2 hoots about what the crowd's like. They're going to enjoy the atmosphere. They get to play the Nashville role now. They'll play their game. We know they're a disciplined team. We know they're defensive when they need to be. I'm not worried about DeSmith versus Demko, although I would like to have Demko in.
Oh, sure. Updated week to week according to Talkit. Oh, man.
Who's that?
So Grant just said Demko updated week to week according to Talkit to the media.
So basically, it's a re-injury of what he had. Are we guessing meniscus or groin?
I think based off of what they showed at the end of the third there when he pushed, I would say meniscus. You would know if it was groin. He was. You could see him grabbing there. So oh man, that's a tough break. You know what though? This is. And I said this to my dad today. I'm like, it's the Vancouver Canucks. It's not the Vancouver Demkos. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but guess what? They do have, this was a perfect game. They have a team that can win. And DeSmith didn't need to be the story tonight.
No.
He was the story until puck drop. And yes, the goal went in and that sucked. After that, though, it was a lot of Vancouver. And I don't think DeSmith was... you couldn't make him a storyline aside from the beginning, I don't think.
No, and I don't think it. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things that it's kind of a case of what he's done all year. Did Casey DeSmith lose the Canucks hockey game tonight?
No.
I
mean, that shorty on Philip Forsberg when he went short side, that was kind of rough, but I mean, that just kind of plays how the game was going. Right. You could probably chalk it up to well, that obviously is going to go in because he bit early and he had an opening.
And it's Philip Forsberg. I mean, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, sometimes guys just make plays, and
the guy was off 50 by 1. So
right, if that's TJ or McCarron or whatever, come on, But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And again, I just don't think DeSmith. He didn't win them the game, but he didn't lose them the game. It's that old cliche. So you just stick with it and say, okay, your goaltending's fine. And I don't think Nashville is capable of generating enough offense to run the Canucks out of the rink. I don't think so. No, not at all. So I think overall this series, the Canucks are going to be able to find a way through it if certain things happen. And I think you have to start looking at your checklist and say, okay, what needs to happen for them to order to win game 3? Because that now that becomes the focus. You don't want to be in a situation where you got to take game 4, just to even the series, and then come back home.
Yeah,
down.
you want to get the upper hand to start.
Yeah, get that 2-1, get your home ice back. And, it's a long series. I love the fact they've got guys like Ian Cole around in that dressing room right now. I think that will help. I actually think Miller will come to play. I'm surprised. Being honest, I was wrong. I had this theory that playoff bubble was just fine. That showed the Canucks what they needed to be, and they just hadn't had a chance to get back there. And watching the first two games, I'm actually, I think Hughes has been fine, Miller's been great, but I thought Besser had a strong game one. I didn't think Besser played well today, or played nearly as strong as we need him to in that frontline winger spot. And then Pettersson's really struggled, and I wonder why. Like I do. That is not the same guy that we saw in the bubble. From a
He's not even the same guy in the first half of the season.
No, yeah, exactly. And I've given him, I'm a PD guy, so I've given him more than benefit of the doubt. But if the Canucks, this isn't even about a playoff run. If the Canucks are going to win this series against Nashville with any sort of confidence, we can't have him play at that level.
He can't be second guessing himself.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't look like anyone else is. It doesn't look like people were gripping the sticks, and yeah, that happens. And you're right. Maybe it's a little bit of the hangover of the first game. And I mean, the atmosphere was electric. Obviously, it would have been crazy to have been at that game tonight. But yeah, I think there's, whether it's gripping sticks or whatever, it's funny, how the road kind of can bind everybody together, especially in something like this. Grant said that Myers has the flu, and his next comment is just key. Imagine if the flu ravages. We've seen the flu destroy teams in the playoffs. St. Louis was a perfect example. That was 2003, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
those again that got sick. Was that Mellenby? I think that might have been Mellenby.
And then, Jackman had his back hurt, but I think McInnes was puking. And oh man, but I mean, the Canucks are still kind of favored in that anyway. But
no, that helped. I mean, let's be honest. That was a Canuck luck breaking the right way.
Yeah, and I mean, then it was very crude a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, there's a few storylines. I think now that we've got 3 days to talk about the Canucks not winning this game, everyone's gonna stew a little bit more. But I mean, let's be honest, it was a loss. They're tied in the series. It's not like they're down. And I think if you're freaking out about this team, I mean, that's a little early. But I mean, there's a lot to take from this game that you can still pile on from the last game. And they're going to go into Nashville. And this is a Canucks team that's been battle tested. They've, rarely lose more than 2 in a row at the most. I mean, they lose a game and they bounce back. There is a lot of veteran leadership in there. And there's guys that want to win. And I know that sounds stupid too, but there's guys on this team listen, we've been given this chance to finally do some damage. It is on us to do that. And they don't have a Thatcher Demko, but they've got Quinn Hughes, and there's only one of those in the league. They've got Elias Pettersson that if he gets on his game, I mean, Petey could take over the game himself. You wouldn't even need Quinn Hughes. And you've got JT Miller. Connor Garland, I thought, had a really good game. Again, no one can hit the score sheet, but they were doing all the other things.
Yep. I thought Garland stayed within his lane and did what he needs to do and be productive. And I think he was very noticeable. I actually thought Lindholm played a good game for what Lindholm has been as a Canuck. I actually didn't hate his game. I mean, I know we want more, but I've accepted that it's not there. I thought Dakota Joshua, who, don't get me wrong, I appreciate not going after the guy. I thought he might have overplayed his hand a bit. Oh, do you know what I mean? If he scores that goal, it's
different story.
Yeah, but if you watch some of the plays, he overskates some passes. He overchecks a little bit. He kind of takes 3 more steps into a wall when he didn't need to. Some of those things, and I think some of that's inexperience.
That's inexperience at that level too. Just that next level.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly. Yeah, and just some things that went their way for game 1 didn't go for their way for game 2. I think adversity is great. I've always felt, watching, this team over the decades, if you look back, some of the best series in the way that they come back is with some adversity thrown at them.
Yeah. Well, they've got a lot now.
Oh yeah, of course. It all has to pile on. And I think they just have to accept Demko's I think they will. I think we already heard that. They played their game. They've played their first game without Demko, so be it. Casey DeSmith is very capable of winning against Nashville. I mean, if we get to the next round and we see Edmonton, we can chat.
Yeah. Like, let's just put that on the back
for the
burner
second before we worry about that.
I would do a couple more things before we head out here, James.
Yeah.
Philip Hronek, again, another guy that I think they really started to injure guys with shots like the old Sammy Salo method. And I think they just need to start felling trees out there. Like, honestly, they've got so many heavy shots on that team. You just need to start shooting because, I don't know. I haven't taken a puck before that hard, but it doesn't feel good. And the velocity they shoot it. Yeah.
Late in the third, Miller. Did you see Miller pick off McDonough? Old Tampa teammates there. Loved it. Because you know what? It's a long series. And if you want to stand and block, go ahead. And sometimes if they're going to give you that type of one-timer and you can wind up and just cork it, just start letting them go. Because go for it. Let's see how many you're willing to stand in there for before they start finding that. Now, you don't want to give grade A's just to get a guy in the shin or the ankle or the throat. But what you want to be able to do is get that puck through. But what you want to do is just if, so I thought it was a perfect time to do it. It was a half wall down low. Shot's probably not going in, but he caught McDonough. McDonough was down, and he's a big time defender for them, especially defensively. So great. Start teeing off. Like I said, don't waste your shots, but Hronek specifically, let it go. Let it go. Please let it go and see what happens. I think we'll see that. I think we'll see that more in Nashville than we have, in the first two games.
Well, hopefully Myers gets past the flu.
Yes.
And I mean, I guess that's something you got to think. Are they flying out tomorrow? Are they going to hold off as long as they can and try to get him on a separate flight or something like, quarantine stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because those are the things like, do you tempt fate and put him on the plane and have him isolated? Do you just wait it out and send him the day of the game and roll the dice a little bit? You probably do.
Yeah, I think that's what they do. They hold if he's got symptoms, you just hold him back. You have a charter. Well, you probably don't charter him, but you probably maybe you do. You got a flight plan on Thursday, and he gets another full day at home tomorrow, rest and see where he goes. I mean, if it's the flu, I expect we'll see him Friday. How he gets there might be different from the rest of the guys, but yeah. I'm glad it's not an injury. I was kind of wondering. I was kind of going back through game one in my head when I heard, and it's funny because we're all anti Tyler Myers at some point in the last 5 years. But
how the turntables
grown to appreciate his value at certain times, and I actually thought when he took that swing on the game one that actually broke some of the holding the sticks tight for the Canucks in that moment. We scored shortly after, so it was. Anyways, I was kind of waiting for that moment tonight, but he's not in the lineup and nobody seemed to grab that.
Yeah, it's too bad. It feels good to be talking. Like, I look at the top of my screen right now, playoffs post-game show.
Right.
It does. I mean, a loss hurts, but you know what? It's I'd rather be here than being a Calgary Flames fan right now.
Kudos to that Canuck crowd games 1 and 2 here. Is that not a different animal than the one
it was different?
Yeah.
Like, even when they were down, all of a sudden you see them cheering again. Like, we haven't seen that in a long time. It's funny,
the crowd was going through these moments of quietness, and I'm like, oh man, it's turning into Vancouver where everyone's kind of waiting for the next bad thing, and then all of a sudden the crowd got going again. I love the defense chant in they transposed the Seahawks into the Canucks, and I just thought that was great because it's a West Coast thing. Obviously, tons of teams chants, tons of stadiums yell that chant, but the fact that you're bringing it into hockey in that moment was a very new thing. I haven't heard it before, and it's very Seahawkish. And that crazy bedlam that you just get to go nuts for those few moments. I think the Canuck fans have done really well in the first 2 games. It's been fun to listen to. They should get some kudos, and I hope. I just feel like it's a different energy than we had even in 2015 or 2012, 2011, 2012. Obviously 11's a different animal because it was a cup run, but
Yeah.
if you look back, I just kudos to the crowd. I think it's a different Vancouver market, and I don't feel like we're waiting for the shoe to drop. I feel like we're just like, hey, it's happening. We'll see what happens, and to summarize, we get ready for Game 3. We're 1-1. Yeah, would you take it on the outset? All those corny cliches come out, but sure, you take the split, you get on the road, and you've been a great road team, and you can win in Nashville. You've proven that.
If this was a team that we were worried about, I think you'd be able to feel it. This is a team that there's enough there that we've been talking about it for a while. Like, let's find out what they look like in the playoffs. But there's a lot of guys on this team that could take over a game, and you're kind of hoping somebody does. But there's a lot of guys. If it's not him, it's him. If it's not him, it's him.
Yeah.
And it might be a game where it is your goaltender, or it might be a game where it's your defense or your special teams, or maybe you win it all at 5-5. Like they've found a way to win on all of those kind of levels this season, and some of them convincing, and some of them have just squirted by. And I don't know, I would love to, like, as the Canucks fan in me, like I'd love to be like to just default back to like, man, hopefully they can come back in this. It's just like, well, I mean, they play again on Friday. Let's go again. They get an extra day of rest, which I mean, it kind of benefits Nashville a little bit based on the amount of shots they blocked. But
ice bags on the plane on the way home.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, if you're the Canucks, not their fans, if you're the Canucks, you got to think, man, it sucks we didn't win because we really have dominated them for the last 2 games. The score didn't say that, but we go in there and we do the same thing we've done for 2 games. The puck goes a little bit better our way. This is a tough series to say the Canucks don't win, right?
Yeah,
like it just that seems like a homer thing to say, but I mean, let's look at it. Let's look at it. Try to look at it unbiased. The Canucks have just played better in this. They have.
They just haven't finished their scoring chances. They're leaving the team in the game, and that's why it's 1-1.
Yeah. So anyway, James, thanks so much for coming by. It's always a pleasure to talk Canucks hockey with you. Final thing, this is a fantasy football thing. Yeah, I got a tweet today, and I'll just make sure that what the heck is going here. The guy says if you don't respond to trade offers, that you should be like in, what do they say, like the 3rd circle of like fantasy football hell or something. And I said, send a better trade offer then. I said, if you're not getting a response from a trade offer, it probably was that bad. Every trade offer, if it's fair, most people say no or whatever. But if it sucks,
you went crickets on a guy. Is this the scenario? So somebody sends you something and you went crickets because you didn't like it. Yeah. So you sat on your throne and you said, no, peasant, I will not respond to you and this garbage that you sent me.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't hate it.
Like, I just thought like it was just a scenario they were talking about it just because obviously the draft is on Thursday. Right. And I just thought, I'm like, listen, I've played this game long enough. I've never won, but I'm all for a fair trade. And I'm all for a trade that, sometimes someone maybe doesn't know as much or they feel that like I'm willing to offer this because I'm on a hunch or something. All those things exist. But if you throw down a garbage trade and you don't get anything back, you hear crickets, like maybe reevaluate what you just sent. Because every trade should get a response. Even a simple decline, that's a response. But if you get nothing and you get ghosted, there's a reason. There's a reason.
Now, I'll play the victim card. How do I know that you saw the message if you don't respond?
I'm pretty sure it shows, doesn't it?
I don't know. I don't know the format.
I'm pretty sure most of the leagues would show. I'm pretty sure.
What maybe the response of just sending him a simple garbage can emoji.
Maybe that's it. So maybe we need to grow up a little bit and just have a garbage can. That's fair.
Just throw him something because so here's the thing. If it's a senior veteran of fantasy football and he throws you a garbage trade, I don't mind the cricket play. You have a right to do that. Someone should know better. But if someone's, semi new to the league, maybe first time around, doesn't know that they're throwing junk, sometimes you gotta, help the guy out. Throw a little garbage can and say, you can do better. Or here's what I was thinking.
I had one this year. I made a run in Ted's work league. Yeah. And I was things were looking good. I had Lamar. Who else did I have? I think I had Puka. Like things were just rolling. I made a few big moves to end. I picked up Derrick Henry, and who was the other guy I picked up? I was just rolling. Thought for sure I was going to clinch first overall and have a run. Like there was no reason I was going to lose. And as we all know how fantasy football works, I lost. Yeah. So there was a guy, like I'm newish to this league now. I think this was my 3rd season. And I got a trade offer from one guy this year. And like, I just looked and I'm like, are you? And I said, are you for real? And he's like, what? Oh, I responded in this case because it was so ridiculous. And because I had Bijan Robinson, that's right. And he offered me like something just like Raymond Ballard in like a 5th. Wasn't even a 3rd or a 2nd.
You didn't even get to the 3rd level. Hey?
No. And I just looked, I said, you've got to be kidding me. So I said, in no world would this trade ever happen. And then he tried to sell me on the reasons. I was like, listen, man, clearly I understand how this game works because of my record. I didn't fluke out into this. I knew what I was doing. I've been here long enough. I suffered through the first year of the worst possible roster you could have. No draft picks. And I just basically gave them $40. I paid my dues and I was ready to just own everybody. And I talked a lot of smack and I lost. But this guy, as soon as I sent the proper trade offer and made a trade, all of a sudden he tried coming back, trying to like circle the wagons, like, oh, maybe he's still willing to make a final thing. I said, no, I made this trade because your trade sucked. So I said, I don't want anything to do with what you have left. I said, I could care less how your season or your next season goes. I said, I'm in it for me. You missed the boat, my friend. So there's a way to do it.
Did you and Ted work it out after that?
He's pretty fair. We have a good trade relationship. So
yeah.
Anyway,
it's funny though. Like, you do find guys you can partner with on the deals, and you kind of know you can go do. And you're like, it's kind of works, and you kind of imagine it in real life, right? Like, they know the guys they can pick off of, and look at the carcass and go.
I just laughed and I thought, I'm like, this guy needs to do better in life here because this is just it's sad. So anyway, fun fact. Just one of those little things. We're getting there. It'll be fantasy football season. No.
You're growing past it?
I'm not even going to do the playoff beard.
Really?
I got to keep up appearances at work. So
I'm telling you, this is a new generation of Canucks fans. I think we went through purgatory for 9 years. I think we've come out of it. We're a bit of a rising phoenix as a fan base. I think
here's what I'm going to do. And I did this in 2011.
Okay.
All the superstitions went out the door after Game 6 in round 1.
Okay.
Like the Game 1 playoff T-shirt, I wore this. The beret jersey, like all my staples of things that worked out the door. So I remember I shaved, like I think I went clean shaven, and I did like, remember those face tattoos that we used to sell?
Yeah.
Like those horrendous. Yeah. So I had one of those. I put it on, and I was just like an absolute like the tin cup full sellout, basically. And I just gave up, and I said, "Screw it, it's all not." And then, sure enough, they win. Everything goes playoff beard for the next 2.5 months. So I think I'm gonna play out this series.
Yeah.
As let's just see how this is, because I want to grow a playoff beard, but it's tough, man. It's tough. I need to be at peace with my inner self. And I don't think I'm there yet. So
I'm kind of the same. I decided I'm gonna let it ride. So tonight's outfit was the same on Sunday. So now I'm gonna change that up. So anytime they win, that's the comeback for the next game. So I'll let it ride. Shaving's typically a light feature in my house as it is anyway. So I'll decide where we're at. Car flag's a no for me this go around. I'm not going to do the car flag, partly because there's like 40 different versions of them, and I don't want to.
Car flag season's big right now. I've been seeing these massive Canada flag ones going around on the big monster trucks around town. Oh, yeah. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, if they put that in a car flag, you might actually. Yeah.
They got hockey sticks, the big Canada flags, these big pickup trucks. Like they're really into hockey season.
They've been playoff mode for about 2.5-3 years.
Yeah, so that's a little different.
The one thing old age has gotten me though is that I found myself with this incessant need to put up a Canucks flag on my deck this year. I don't know why. I haven't found one, didn't do it, but I was like, I'm gonna mark the house this year. I haven't, so it's probably not happening.
I mean, I've got a
wasn't-
signed flag, but I don't want to put that out. I don't want the weather to get the signatures.
It's part of age, dude. I think we just mature and we end up just acceptance of what this is.
I mean, I guess I've worn the same pair of underwear since game one. I haven't wiped since game one. So like those are good superstitions, right?
So yeah, it must be tough at the office right now.
Like he smells, I'm pretty sure he's got some kind of a disease growing.
Is he homeless?
Yeah, there's dingleberries and it's not pretty. Yeah, this is what I do for my teams. Like, you can't do sports anymore. This is not healthy. So
we're calling it in. All right, go Canucks, go. Game 3. Let's see what happens.
Let's make it happen. Okay, folks. Thanks for joining in. If Grant, obviously, I'll love having you, buddy. On behalf of my good friend James Rayburn, I'm Ryan Hank and a vacant Ted Wong. This is the PP1 Podcast Playoffs post-game show. Lots of P's in there on the Hockey Podcast Network, a menagerie of hockey podcasts. Game 3's on Friday. It ain't over yet, folks. Go Canucks, go. Peace out.